The massive colony ship Prometheus Dawn drifted silently through the darkness of space. Inside its metal halls, 10,000 people slept peacefully in cryogenic pods, dreaming of their new home on a distant world. Captain Rebecca Miller stood alone on the bridge, watching the stars blur past the viewscreen as the ship traveled faster than light itself. She had been awake for 3 months, taking her turn with the small crew that kept watch while everyone else slept. In another week, they would reach Proxima Centauri and begin waking the colonists. Farmers, teachers, engineers, children, all of them trusting her to deliver them safely to humanity's first colony beyond Earth. Lieutenant David Harris suddenly sat up straight at his station. "Captain, we have 3 unknown ships approaching fast." Rebecca's heart jumped. In 3 months of travel, they had seen nothing but empty space. On screen, 3 enormous vessels appeared, each one 3 times larger than the Prometheus Dawn. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, made of what looked like living crystal that pulsed with blue light. Rebecca had never seen anything like them. "Open communication channels," she ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. The view screen flickered and a face appeared. It was humanoid but clearly alien. The being had pale blue skin stretched tight over sharp bones, and 4 black eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its face. When it spoke, its voice was cold and precise. "I am Ambassador Theln of the Velcrin Empire. You have entered territorial space claimed by our people. This is forbidden." Rebecca stepped forward. "Ambassador, our scans showed this region was unclaimed. We're peaceful colonists heading to Proxima Centauri. We mean no harm to anyone." Theln's expression did not change. "Your species barely learned to travel between stars last year. You are children playing with tools you do not understand. You have no right to claim worlds in civilized space. Turn your ship around and return to your primitive homeworld." Anger flashed through Rebecca, but she forced it down. "We've traveled for 3 months. We have families aboard. Children. We're not turning back when we're so close to our destination." "Then you have chosen to die." Theln's face disappeared from the screen. "Shields up. Evasive maneuvers." Rebecca shouted, but the Velcrin ships did not fire weapons. Instead, a wave of green energy washed over the Prometheus Dawn like water over a rock. For a moment, nothing happened. The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. Then the lights began to flicker. "Captain, we have major problems." Chief Engineer Robert Blake's panicked voice came through the speakers. "Something is attacking our computer systems. It's spreading through every network on the ship." Rebecca grabbed her command chair as the ship suddenly shook. "What kind of attack? Can you stop it?" "It's like a virus, but incredibly advanced. It's rewriting our core programming and I can't fight it. It's in everything: navigation, life support, the FTL engines." The engines made a sound that sent ice through Rebecca's veins. It was a high-pitched whine that grew louder and louder. Through the viewscreen, the stars stopped moving normally and began to stretch and twist in impossible directions. "Emergency shutdown of the FTL drive," Rebecca commanded. "The controls aren't responding." Robert screamed over the intercom. The ship lurched violently sideways. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks and smoke. The artificial gravity failed and Rebecca felt herself floating up from her chair. Around her, crew members grabbed onto whatever they could reach as loose objects flew through the air. Then everything stopped. The engines went completely silent. The main lights died, leaving only dim red emergency lighting that cast weird shadows across the bridge. Even the gentle hum that had been the background sound of the ship for 3 months, the sound of power flowing through cables, of air being recycled, of life support working, faded away to nothing. "Damage report," Rebecca said quietly into the sudden silence. David checked his console, which was barely working on backup power. "Captain, we're dead in space. The FTL drive is completely destroyed. Main engines are offline. We're stranded." "Where are we?" David's hands shook as he read the sensors. "I don't know exactly. We made an emergency jump out of FTL in the middle of our trip. According to the scanners, there's nothing around us for light years in any direction. No stars. No planets. Just empty space." Rebecca felt cold dread settle in her stomach. She activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is the captain speaking to all crew members. We have experienced a major system failure. Report to emergency stations immediately. Engineering teams focus on life support. Medical teams prepare for possible casualties. Stay calm and follow procedures." She turned to Robert's station and opened a direct channel. "Robert, tell me the truth. How bad is it?" There was a long pause before he answered. Captain, the Velcrin virus was surgical. It knew exactly what to destroy. Our FTL drive isn't just damaged, it's been systematically torn apart at the code level. And with the main engines offline. His voice cracked. We have life support for maybe 3 weeks if we ration power carefully. After that, we all suffocate. Rebecca looked at the view screen showing nothing but darkness and distant, unreachable stars. 10,000 people were depending on her, and she had no way to save them. Then we have 3 weeks to find a miracle, she said. 2 days crawled by. The crew worked frantically to repair what they could, but the damage was too extensive. People who had been confident and professional now moved quietly through the dim corridors, fear written on their faces. Everyone knew what would happen when the air ran out. On the 3rd day, David called out from his sensor station. Captain, I'm picking up debris about 50 kilometers from our position. It's recent wreckage, not old. Rebecca pushed herself over to his station in the zero gravity. What kind of debris? There's a small ship out there, Captain. One-person craft. It's damaged but the hull looks intact. And according to my scans. He looked up at her with wide eyes. It's Velcrin. Rebecca stared at the sensor readings. A Velcrin scout ship, probably left behind to watch them die, had been caught in the explosion when the Prometheus Dawn's engines failed. It was damaged but maybe, just maybe, it still had working technology inside. Get me Robert and a boarding team, Rebecca said, and for the first time in 2 days, she felt a spark of hope. We're going salvage hunting. 6 crew members in bulky white spacesuits floated through the darkness toward the damaged Velcrin scout ship. Robert Blake led the team, his heart pounding as they got closer to the alien vessel. Through his helmet, he could see the crystalline hull was cracked in several places, but the main structure looked intact. Careful everyone, he said into his radio. We don't know if there are any traps or automatic defenses. They found an opening where the hull had been torn during the explosion. Robert squeezed through first, turning on his helmet light. The interior was like nothing he had ever seen. Instead of metal walls and wires, everything seemed to be made of the same blue crystal as the outside. Patterns of light flickered weakly through the translucent surfaces. There's the pilot, someone said quietly. The Velcrin was still strapped into its seat, dead. Its blue face was frozen in an expression of surprise. The cockpit had lost pressure during the explosion and the alien had suffocated, just like the humans would if they could not fix their ship. Robert forced himself to look away and focus on the technology. His hands trembled with excitement as he examined the control systems. This is incredible. Their computers are built into the structure itself. Everything is connected through bioneural pathways. Can we use any of it? Asked Jennifer Hayes, one of his best technicians. Maybe. Let's get the whole ship back to the Prometheus Dawn. We need to study this properly. It took 6 hours to attach cables and carefully tow the Velcrin scout ship into the Prometheus Dawn's main cargo bay. Robert and his engineering team immediately began working, barely stopping to eat or sleep. They carefully cut away sections of the alien ship and connected human computers to the Velcrin systems. Dr. Emma Watson, the ship's lead scientist, joined them on the 2nd day. She was a small woman with sharp eyes who specialized in computer systems. When she saw what they were working on, she whistled softly. This is beautiful, she said, running her scanner over the crystalline circuitry. But it's also flawed. What do you mean? Robert asked. Emma pulled up holographic displays showing the flow of data through the Velcrin systems. Look here. They rely completely on biological neural interfaces. The ship reads the pilot's thoughts directly and responds. It's elegant, but it's limited by biology. Neurons can only fire so fast. Their brains can only process so much information at once. Robert leaned forward, suddenly understanding. But our computers don't have those limitations. Exactly. Our quantum processors can handle data thousands of times faster than biological brains. If we can adapt their technology to work with our systems instead of biological interfaces. She smiled. We might actually make it better than the original. For the next 2 months, the cargo bay became a laboratory where human and alien technology merged. The crew cannibalized parts from the Velcrin scout ship and integrated them with human systems. Emma wrote new code that let quantum computers control Velcrin power systems. Robert's team built hybrid engines that combined both technologies. Captain Rebecca visited them every day. Will it work? She would ask. It has to, Robert always answered. Finally, after 73 days of desperate work, they were ready to test. The entire crew gathered in the cargo bay to watch. Robert stood at a makeshift control panel connected to the hybrid engine they had built. "Here goes everything," he muttered and pressed the activation button. The hybrid engine hummed to life. Blue light pulsed through the Velcrin components while human displays showed power readings climbing steadily. The engine ran smoothly for 10 seconds, then 20, then a full minute. People started cheering and hugging each other. Some crew members were crying with relief. "It works." Emma shouted over the noise. "Robert, look at these efficiency numbers. We're getting 18% more power output than the Velcrin design should produce. Our quantum computers are running their systems better than their own biology could." It took another 3 weeks to install the hybrid systems throughout the Prometheus Dawn. The repairs were ugly and jury-rigged, held together with human welds and Velcrin crystal, but they worked. When Robert finally powered up the main engines, the ship shuddered and began to move. "We're not going to make it to Proxima Centauri," Rebecca announced to the crew. "But we can get home. We're going back to Earth." The journey took 4 months. The Prometheus Dawn limped through space, barely holding together, but it kept moving. When Earth finally appeared on their scanners, the entire crew gathered on the bridge to watch. Many were crying. They had been dead, and now they were alive. Within hours of entering Earth orbit, Rebecca was summoned to appear before the United Nations Space Council. She stood in the Great Chamber in Geneva where world leaders gathered, still wearing her stained uniform from months in space. Behind her on enormous screens, she showed recordings of the Velcrin attack. "They tried to murder us," she said simply. 10,000 civilians. Men, women, children. They sabotaged our ship and left us to die in the void just because they thought we had no right to explore space. Her voice hardened. "They called us primitive. They treated us like insects to be crushed." She pulled up the technical data Robert and Emma had compiled. "This is Velcrin technology. We recovered it and we improved it. Their FTL drives, their power systems, their weapons, we've analyzed all of it. And we found something important. They're not invincible. Their technology is advanced, but it has weaknesses. And human creativity can exploit those weaknesses." Admiral James Parker, the head of Earth's Defense Forces, studied the data carefully. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes were sharp. "You're saying we could build ships like this?" "Better ships," Emma interrupted from where she stood beside Rebecca. "We've already improved their engine efficiency. Given time and resources, we could surpass them entirely." The council chamber erupted in dozens of conversations. Finally, the Secretary General raised her hand for silence. "The Velcrin Empire clearly views humanity as a threat to be eliminated. If we do nothing, they will return to finish what they started. We must act." The vote was unanimous. Project Ascension was created that very day, a classified program that would unite every nation on Earth for a single purpose. Factories across the world began retooling. Scientists from every country were recruited. The asteroid belt and the moons of Jupiter became construction sites for secret shipyards. Robert stood on the observation deck of a new space station orbiting Mars 2 years later. Below him, hundreds of workers swarmed over the hull of humanity's first true warship. It was sleek and deadly, built with human steel and Velcrin technology merged into something new. "Think it will be enough?" Emma asked, standing beside him. "It has to be," Robert said, watching another ship take shape in an adjacent dock. "Because the Velcrin think we died in the void. When they learn we survived, they'll come to finish the job. We need to be ready." 2 years had passed since the Prometheus Dawn returned to Earth, and the solar system had transformed into something the Velcrin Empire could never imagine. Hidden beneath the rust-colored surface of Mars, enormous factories worked day and night. On Luna, construction crews hollowed out craters to hide shipyards from prying eyes. Even the asteroid belt buzzed with activity as mining stations secretly doubled as military outposts. Dr. Emma Watson stood in a laboratory deep beneath the surface of Mars, watching her latest creation come to life. The hybrid artificial intelligence opened its digital eyes for the first time and processed data faster than any biological mind could dream. "Status check," Emma said calmly. "All systems operational," the AI responded in a smooth voice. "Reaction time is 0.003 seconds. Processing capacity at maximum efficiency. Ready for integration with fighter craft systems." Emma smiled. The Velcrin relied on biological pilots whose brains needed time to think, to process, to react. Human pilots were even slower. But an AI that combined human creativity with Velcrin neural interface technology? That was something entirely new. These hybrid minds would fly ships with impossible precision, making decisions in microseconds that would take flesh and blood pilots several seconds. Begin combat simulations, she ordered. Across the solar system, in a secret facility orbiting Jupiter, Robert Blake watched the first test flight of humanity's new fighter craft. Commander William Turner sat in the cockpit, his mind linked to the hybrid AI through a neural interface crown on his head. The fighter was small and sleek, painted matte black to absorb sensor scans. "Ready when you are, Hawk," Robert said, using Turner's call sign. "Taking her out," Turner replied. The fighter shot forward so fast that Robert gasped. It twisted through a series of maneuvers that would have crushed a normal pilot under the force, but the inertial dampeners, improved Velcrin technology, kept Turner comfortable. The hybrid AI anticipated his thoughts, responding to his intentions before he even finished forming them. "This is incredible." Turner laughed as the fighter spun and dove. "It moves like it's reading my mind because it is. Response time is instant. And the speed, Robert, this thing is twice as fast as Velcrin scouts and half the size. Can you fight in it?" Robert asked. Turner armed the weapon systems and fired at target drones. The fighter's rotating frequency weapons, a purely human innovation, destroyed each target with pinpoint accuracy. "Oh, I can fight in it. The Velcrin won't know what hit them." While engineers perfected the hardware, intelligence operatives worked on gathering more alien technology. Sarah Collins was one of the best. She had spent 18 months undercover on Velcrin trading stations, pretending to be a merchant from a minor species. Her modified appearance and forged credentials had fooled the arrogant Velcrin, who barely looked at species they considered inferior. In a dingy bar on the edge of Velcrin space, Sarah made contact with a resistance member from the Toral species. The Toral looked like a large insect, with compound eyes and 6 limbs, but he spoke perfect English through a translator. "Your people are the humans who survived the purge?" he asked quietly. Sarah nodded. "We survived. And we're preparing to make sure the Velcrin never try that again." The Toral's antennae quivered with excitement. "The Velcrin have oppressed 47 species across this sector. They keep us all primitive by controlling technology. They share nothing, teach nothing, help no one. We are slaves in all but name. What if someone could break their monopoly?" Sarah asked carefully. "Then there would be celebrations across 1,000 worlds." The Toral leaned closer. "I can get you access to their military research database. The Velcrin are careless around species they consider too stupid to be a threat. In exchange, when your people are ready to act, you remember those of us who helped you." Sarah uploaded the stolen data to a secure connection back to Earth. When Admiral Parker reviewed what she had sent, he called an emergency meeting of Project Ascension's leadership. "This is a complete schematic of Velcrin military technology," he said, displaying holographic blueprints. "Weapons, shields, communications, everything." Collins also included reports on their political structure. The Velcrin Empire controls dozens of species through technological superiority. They've built their entire civilization on keeping everyone else primitive. Rebecca Miller, now an admiral herself, studied the data with hard eyes. "They tried to kill us to maintain that control. We were becoming too advanced, so they decided to eliminate us before we could threaten their dominance. Then we show them what happens when humans fight back," Admiral Parker said. He pulled up images of Earth's new fleet. 80 warships now floated in hidden positions throughout the solar system, each one incorporating the best of human and Velcrin technology. They were faster, more maneuverable, and better armed than anything the Velcrin had. Robert addressed the group. "We've done more than copy their technology. We've improved it. Our ships use miniaturized components that the Velcrin never developed because their biology couldn't interface with anything that small. We've created stealth systems using materials science they don't have. Our weapons rotate frequencies to bypass their shields. On paper, one human ship should be able to take on 3 Velcrin vessels." "That's on paper," Parker cautioned. "We won't know for sure until we fight them." "Then let's find out," Rebecca said quietly. "The Velcrin tried to exterminate humanity. They think we're dead. I say it's time we show them exactly what humans are capable of when you try to kill us." 3 months later, Rebecca stood on the bridge of her new flagship, the Retribution. Around her floated 20 warships of Earth's fleet, each one a masterpiece of human engineering enhanced with alien technology. They had crossed into Velcrin space and were approaching Outpost Gamma 7, a military station on the edge of the Empire. "Open a channel," Rebecca ordered. Her crew worked smoothly, well-trained and confident. The view screen lit up with the shocked face of a Velcrin officer. Behind him, alarms were blaring as the station went to alert status. "This is Admiral Rebecca Miller of Earth," she said calmly. "Some of you may remember trying to murder my crew 2 years ago. We survived. We learned. We improved. The Velcrin Empire will immediately cease all hostile actions against humanity and any other species. You will withdraw your claims on human space. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning." The Velcrin officer's 4 eyes widened in disbelief and rage. "Impossible. You should be dead. You're just primitives." "We were primitives," Rebecca said coldly. "You made us into something much more dangerous. You made us motivated." The Velcrin officer cut the transmission and Rebecca watched as 40 Velcrin warships emerged from behind the station, surrounding her small fleet. The Velcrin commander's face reappeared on screen, smiling cruelly. "I am Commander Rylak, nephew of Ambassador Theln. You survived once through luck, humans. You will not survive again. Kill them all." The Velcrin fleet opened fire, and the battle that would change the galaxy forever began. The first Velcrin missiles screamed toward the human ships, and for a moment it looked like Commander Rylak's confidence was justified. 40 Velcrin warships against 20 human vessels seemed like an unfair fight. But Rylak had made the same mistake every Velcrin made. He assumed humans were still primitive. "Activate stealth systems," Rebecca ordered calmly. "Execute pattern Delta." The human ships seemed to flicker and vanish from Velcrin sensors. Half of the missiles lost their targets and flew uselessly into empty space. The other half hit nothing but shadows as the human vessels scattered in coordinated patterns the Velcrin had never seen before. "Where did they go?" Rylak shouted at his sensor officers. "Find them." Commander William Turner's fighter wing appeared behind the Velcrin formation like ghosts materializing from darkness. 24 small craft, each one moving within human precision guided by hybrid AI systems. Their weapons fired in perfect synchronization, targeting the weak points that human engineers had identified in Velcrin shield designs. "Weapons rotating frequency," Turner reported as his targeting computer locked onto a Velcrin cruiser. "Firing now." The human weapons cycled through different energy frequencies faster than Velcrin shields could adapt. It was like trying to block punches coming from a dozen different angles at once. 3 Velcrin ships exploded in the first 30 seconds as the rotating frequency weapons burned through their defenses. Rylak's confident smile vanished. "Impossible. Their technology was primitive. How are they doing this?" "Sir, their weapons are using adaptive frequency rotation," a sensor officer reported in panic. "Our shields can't compensate fast enough. And their ships are too fast, our targeting systems can't lock on." Rebecca's flagship, the Retribution, decloaked directly above Rylak's command ship. Her weapons officer had already calculated the perfect firing solution. "Fire main cannons." The human railguns, technology the Velcrin had never developed because they relied too heavily on energy weapons, fired solid projectiles at a fraction of light speed. The metal slugs punched through Velcrin shields like paper and tore massive holes in their crystalline hulls. "All ships, close formation and focus fire," Rylak ordered desperately. But the human ships refused to fight in predictable patterns. They appeared, fired, vanished, and reappeared somewhere else. The Velcrin weapons hit nothing but empty space while human weapons found their targets with surgical precision. A young Velcrin tactical officer watched his display in disbelief. "Commander, we've lost 12 ships in 4 minutes. The humans are dismantling us." Turner's fighter flew so close to a Velcrin destroyer that he could see the aliens scrambling through their transparent sections of hull. His hybrid AI calculated attack vectors faster than thought, and his weapons carved through the ship's engine core. The destroyer went dark and began tumbling through space. "This is too easy," Turner said over the communication channel. "They're not ready for this kind of fight." Robert Blake, monitoring the battle from a command ship at the edge of the combat zone, felt a grim satisfaction. They've spent centuries fighting opponents with inferior technology. They've never faced anyone who could match them, let alone surpass them. They don't know how to adapt. The battle lasted 7 minutes total. When it ended, 36 Velcrin ships were destroyed or crippled. Rylak's flagship drifted powerless, its engines destroyed and life support failing. The surviving 4 Velcrin ships retreated in panic, broadcasting desperate calls for reinforcement. Rebecca opened a channel to Rylak's ship. The Velcrin commander's face appeared on screen, no longer confident but filled with shock and fear. Blue blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. "This is impossible," Rylak whispered. "You were insects. Primitive animals playing with technology you didn't understand. You gave us motivation, Rebecca said coldly. You tried to exterminate 10,000 innocent people. You left us to die in the void. But we survived, and we learned. Thank you for the lesson, Commander. We're broadcasting this entire battle to the Galactic Network. Let everyone see what happens when you underestimate humanity. She cut the transmission and turned to her communications officer. Send the battle footage everywhere. Every species in the galaxy needs to see this. The recording spread across the Galactic Information Network within hours. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings watched as human ships defeated a superior Velcrin force using impossible tactics and technology that shouldn't exist. Species that the Velcrin had oppressed for centuries watched with growing hope. The Velcrin military command watched with growing horror. On the Velcrin homeworld, Emperor Vakren sat on his crystalline throne watching the battle recording for the 5th time. His 4 eyes narrowed as he analyzed every detail. The humans had not just copied Velcrin technology, they had improved it, adapted it, and combined it with their own innovations to create something new and dangerous. How did primitives accomplish this? He demanded of his military advisors who knelt before him. Great Emperor, our intelligence failed us, the chief advisor said, trembling. We believed the humans died when we sabotaged their colony ship. We did not monitor their homeworld. We did not realize they had recovered our scout ship and reverse-engineered our technology. And now they are spreading this recording to every oppressed species in our empire, another advisor added nervously. The resistance movements are celebrating. They see the humans as potential liberators. Vakren stood from his throne, his tall form casting shadows across his advisors. This cannot stand. If humanity is allowed to exist, they will spread their technology to every species we control. Our empire, built over 3,000 years, will crumble. Other species will rebel, thinking they too can match us. What are your orders, Great Emperor? Vakren's voice was cold and absolute. Summon the Grand Armada. Every warship we have. 300 vessels. We will travel to the human homeworld and burn it to ashes. We will exterminate every human in existence. We will make an example so terrible that no species will ever dare to challenge us again. The advisors looked at each other nervously. Great Emperor, perhaps negotiation. No. Vakren's shout echoed through the throne room. We are Velcrin. We are the supreme power in this galaxy. These upstart apes will learn their place, or they will cease to exist. Send the order immediately. The Grand Armada assembles within 10 days. Then we end the human threat permanently. Across the galaxy, the message went out through Velcrin military channels. 300 warships, the largest military force assembled in 50 years, began gathering near the Velcrin homeworld. It was a fleet designed to conquer entire star systems. Emperor Vakren would personally command it, determined to crush humanity before they could inspire any more rebellions. But in Earth's command center, deep beneath Geneva, Admiral Parker watched the Velcrin fleet gathering on long-range sensors. He had expected this response. The Velcrin could not allow humanity's victory to stand unchallenged without losing their grip on their empire. They are coming, he said to Rebecca, who stood beside him studying the tactical displays. Good, Rebecca replied, her voice hard as steel. Let them come to us. We'll be ready. The Velcrin Grand Armada entered the solar system like a massive wall of crystalline death. 300 warships, each one gleaming with blue light, moved in perfect formation toward Earth. Emperor Vakren stood on the bridge of his flagship Supreme Glory, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his viewscreen. Scan for human vessels, he commanded. We detect 80 ships, Great Emperor, the sensor officer reported. They are scattered throughout the system in defensive positions around their homeworld. Vakren laughed, a harsh sound that made his crew flinch. 80 against 300. They are brave fools. Prepare all weapons. We will destroy every human ship, then reduce their cities to rubble. Today, humanity dies. But as the Velcrin fleet crossed into Earth's orbital space, something unexpected happened. Thousands of objects suddenly activated all around them. Satellites that had appeared to be simple communication devices revealed themselves as weapons platforms. The Moon and Mars lit up with energy signatures as hidden railgun batteries powered up. Asteroid mining stations deployed missile pods. What is this? Vakren demanded. Where did all these weapons come from? Before anyone could answer, the satellites opened fire. Magnetic railguns launched solid metal slugs at incredible speeds while energy weapons carved through space. The Velcrin shields deflected most of the fire, but the sheer volume was overwhelming. Then the human ships attacked. Admiral Rebecca Miller commanded the defense from the bridge of the Retribution. All vessels, execute Omega pattern. Show them what we've learned. The 80 human ships scattered in 1,000 directions at once, moving faster than the Velcrin targeting computers could track. They used the debris field and weapon platforms as cover, appearing and disappearing like deadly ghosts. Swarms of autonomous drones poured out of hidden hangars, thousands of small craft that moved with perfect coordination controlled by hybrid AI systems. Commander Turner led his fighter wing in a diving attack on the Velcrin formation's flank. Eagle Squadron, target their shield generators. Remember, rotate frequencies on every shot. His fighters moved like a school of fish, each one perfectly synchronized with the others. Their weapons fired in patterns that the Velcrin shields could not predict or defend against. 6 Velcrin cruisers lost their shields in the first minute and were immediately destroyed by follow-up attacks from human battleships. They are everywhere, a Velcrin captain screamed over the communication channels. My sensors show them in 5 places at once. Vakren gripped his command throne as his mighty fleet struggled against the chaotic human tactics. The Velcrin way of warfare was based on formation fighting, overwhelming force, and superior technology. But the humans refused to fight that kind of battle. They struck from unexpected angles, used weapons the Velcrin had never encountered, and moved with speed that seemed impossible. All ships, maintain formation. Vakren ordered. Do not break ranks. But maintaining formation made them easy targets. Human ships appeared behind Velcrin vessels and fired railguns at point-blank range. The solid projectiles punched through shields and hulls before the Velcrin could react. Admiral Parker had positioned hidden battleships in the asteroid belt, and these now revealed themselves, catching the Velcrin fleet in a crossfire. Robert Blake coordinated the weapons platforms from a command station on Luna. He watched the battle unfold on holographic displays, seeing patterns the Velcrin could not. Target Section 7. Their formation is weakest there. All lunar batteries, fire on my mark. Massive railguns built into the lunar surface fired simultaneously. The coordinated barrage overwhelmed the shields of an entire Velcrin battle group, and 12 ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The battle raged for 2 hours, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. The Velcrin fought bravely, but they were fighting a type of warfare they did not understand against opponents who had studied their every weakness. Human ships appeared from cloak, fired devastating attacks, and vanished before the Velcrin could respond. The autonomous drones swarmed damaged ships like insects, targeting critical systems with precision. Rebecca saw her opportunity. The Supreme Glory, Emperor Vakren's flagship, had moved ahead of its escorts in frustration. All ships, with me. We're taking the Emperor. 5 human battleships converged on the Velcrin flagship, their weapons hammering its shields with rotating frequency fire. The shields flickered and died under the concentrated assault. Rebecca's ship moved alongside the enormous Velcrin vessel. Launch boarding teams, she commanded. Magnetic pods shot from the Retribution and slammed into the hull of the Supreme Glory. The pods burned through the crystalline armor and human marines in powered armor poured inside. They moved through the Velcrin ship with brutal efficiency, their armor giving them strength and speed that the Velcrin could not match. Rebecca led the assault herself, determined to face the Emperor who had ordered humanity's extinction. Her team fought through corridors filled with desperate Velcrin soldiers, their human weapons cutting through alien defenses. It took 12 minutes to reach the bridge. The doors exploded inward and Rebecca walked onto the bridge of the Supreme Glory, her weapon raised. Emperor Vakren stood beside his throne, surrounded by his personal guards. He stared at her with his 4 black eyes, and for the first time in his long life, he felt genuine fear. You tried to kill 10,000 innocent people, Rebecca said, her voice cutting through the silence. You came here to exterminate my entire species. Surrender your fleet now, or I will let my marines finish what you started. Vakren looked around his bridge. Half his guards were dead. His ship was crippled. Through the view screen, he could see his Grand Armada burning. Nearly 200 of his 300 ships were destroyed or disabled. The humans had suffered minimal casualties. How? He whispered. How did primitives defeat us? We're not primitive anymore, Rebecca said coldly. You taught us that we needed to be strong to survive. You gave us the motivation to surpass you. Surrender. Now. Vakren slowly raised his hands. Admiral Parker broadcast the Emperor's surrender across every communication channel in the galaxy. The footage showed Vakren kneeling before Rebecca Miller while human marines secured his bridge. The message that followed was heard on thousands of worlds. The Velcrin Empire tried to exterminate humanity because we dared to explore space. They failed. We survived, we learned, and we fought back. To all species watching this, humanity offers you friendship and technology freely. The age of Velcrin tyranny ends today. We will share what we have learned with anyone who wants it. No species should be kept primitive by those who hoard knowledge. The galaxy belongs to all of us. The response was immediate. Resistance movements on oppressed worlds erupted in celebration. The Galactic Council, which had been dominated by Velcrin influence for centuries, held an emergency session. They stripped the Velcrin Empire of its council seat and offered humanity membership. Species that had suffered under Velcrin rule lined up to form alliances with Earth. 6 months later, Dr. Emma Watson stood before a gathering of scientists from 40 different species. She unveiled humanity's latest achievement, quantum slipstream drives that would make faster-than-light travel safer and more efficient than anything the galaxy had seen. "We're sharing this technology freely," she announced. "Knowledge should not be hoarded. It should be spread so everyone can benefit." The Prometheus Dawn 2 launched from Earth orbit 1 year after the Battle of Sol. It carried 20,000 colonists toward Proxima Centauri, the destination the original ship had tried to reach. But this time, the colony ship was not alone. 20 warships of Earth's fleet escorted it, sleek vessels painted with humanity's colors. Captain Robert Blake commanded the new colony ship. He stood on the bridge watching Earth grow smaller behind them, thinking about how far humanity had come. 2 years ago, they had been victims left to die in the void. Now they were partners in a galactic community, respected and even feared. "Engage slipstream drive," he ordered. The Prometheus Dawn 2 shimmered and vanished, jumping to faster-than-light speed with technology that combined the best of human innovation and alien science. Behind them, Earth continued its transformation from a single primitive world into a hub of interstellar civilization. In a prison facility orbiting Mars, Emperor Vakren watched through a window as human ships passed by. Each one carried former subjects of his empire, now free and eager to build new futures. His empire had crumbled not through military defeat alone, but because humanity had proven that cooperation and shared knowledge were stronger than domination and control. He had tried to crush insects, and instead had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that refused to accept limitations, that turned every setback into motivation, and that believed the stars belonged to everyone brave enough to reach for them. Humanity had ascended, and the galaxy would never be the same.